Hi everybody, Earl at thelogbook.com, back for another Voyages of Shelf-Discovery Mini, as I'm calling them. Just trying out an idea this week. See if you like it, let me know in the comments, leave me some feedback. That will have a huge amount to do with whether or not I keep doing these little short videos focusing on just a little something from my collection. And in this case, that means these guys from the grid. These are the original 1982 Tomy action figures from the movie Tron. And these were cast in a translucent plastic that light would shine through, which was kind of unusual for the time. I think there had been some stuff in the Micronauts line from Mego that had done something similar, but I don't think anyone had molded entire action figures out of translucent plastic until this happened. And it was a really kind of striking look that was sort of the best compromise they could get to approach the kind of the glow of the characters as seen in the movie Tron. So Sark, of course, was David Warner's character. The Video Warriors, which were Legion in the movie, were basically Tron's equivalent of stormtroopers. Now, my Video Warrior in this footage, because, you know, these are my original figures from over 40 years ago, he's missing an accessory. He had a staff. You see Sark there, and we've kind of gone out of focus for a reason for a second, and I'll get back to that. Sark has his identity disc. There is a peg on the disc that can either be used to help him hold it, or there is a hole in his back that you can slot the disc into, which is where everyone in the universe of Tron, for those of you who haven't seen it or aren't familiar or have forgotten, that is where they keep these frisbee-like discs that they do their deadly disc duels with. The warrior's staff and the disc, which was the accessory for the other three characters, there were only 4 figures in the line, were all made of glow-in-the-dark plastic. And somewhere my warrior got disarmed. It happens. I mean, ask almost any of my Star Wars characters of a similar vintage if they still have their original weapons that came with them. The answer is no. Because, you know, those of us who were kids back then, we played with these things. We carried them in pockets. Things fell out. Things got lost. And so, one thing I wanted to do was to see if Sark's disc ate enough light from all of the lighting going on when I shot the video to actually glow. And I don't think it did, but also there was still enough ambient light in the room that it didn't show. So, not an even remotely successful test of that. If there's any interest in me continuing to do these, then at some later date, I will put Tron and Flynn in front of the camera, and, you know, we'll see how they have held up through the years. The Tron figures, a new run of them was made in 2002, I believe by NECA, NECA, a different toy company. Basically the same figures, the same paint applications, the same molding technique, the same accessories, different packaging. So you can tell, if they're packaged, you can tell an original from the 2002, the 20th anniversary reproductions. But out of the package, it's a little bit more of a challenge. Which brings me to this point. The disc that you see Sark holding here, that is not Sark's original disc. That came off of one of the figures that came packaged with Nika's Light Cycle reproductions, which Tomy also in 1982 made, a really neat Light Cycle vehicle that you could stick a figure in, and it came with kind of a zip cord that you could insert and then pull out, and the Light Cycle would go zipping off across the floor, hopefully a flat surface, because if it encountered even the slightest bump, that Light Cycle was going to derez instantly. So Nika did 3 different color light cycles. They did yellow, red, and blue when they did their 2002 run of reproduction figures. Each light cycle came with a figure, but the light cycle figures from 2002 were all kind of like this uniform dark brown but kind of translucent plastic that was not used by Tomy, which wasn't really a great look. And so I stole those figures' discs and replaced my original figures' discs with the 2002 discs. So the figures may be over 40 years old. The disc is only about 22 years old at this point, but it still didn't seem to glow very well when I turned the lights out. But again, extenuating circumstances, other problems. And it doesn't help that when I did that test without any of the lighting on, all of a sudden the camera just loses focus. So, now you can see the stuff in the back better than you can see the stuff in the foreground. Not a great test. Apologies for that. So there you have it, kind of a very short history of the Tron figures. I really wish that Tomy had done more than 4 figures. But of course, in real time, in 1982, Tron, while heavily marketed, like, this was Disney's answer to Star Wars. Which, of course, Disney's answer to Star Wars is now more Star Wars. But this was before Disney owned Lucasfilm, and every studio in town was trying to come up with the next big sci-fi or fantasy franchise. And Disney had already gone to, they had already put a contender into the ring once with the Black Hole, and that contender did not emerge unscathed. Although, it is interesting to note that both Tron and the Black Hole have repeatedly come back in toy form, with or without new movies to support them. It's just they are fan favorites for people of a certain age.